Hope everyone's evening is going good. I'm here to talk banjo, mandolin, and guitar with you guys. If you're watching on the Tune Fox website, there should be a link below you can click on. That'll take you to the YouTube page. There we can kind of interact with each other, talk about what all we're working on, see if we can help each other out. Feel free as soon as you get in here, tell me what instrument you're playing, what you're working on, and we'll start the chat. Like I said, as soon as you guys get in here, let me know what you're working on, what you want help with. If we don't get anything in the chat here, I'll just go off on some kind of tangent. Think of some practical advice I can give to all you banjo pickers, guitar players, and mandolin players out there. Trying to think of something I've been working on that might help some people. Pick angles. So this applies to really any instrument, or not any instrument, to mandolin, guitar, and banjo. But the pick angle is huge in producing your tone. You really actually have more than one angle. So let me see if I can maybe get a different position so you guys can see. So when you got your pick on the string, there's a couple different angles. There's, we could turn it this way. Like if we turn it that way and the pick's, let's say this is a string, this is a pick. If the pick's coming in that lead edge is hitting the string right like that, it's going to be a little bit of a softer sound. Versus if it hits flat, it'll be a lot brighter sound. Okay, but then there's also the angles this way, right? And if we turn the angle that way, that will actually soften up the sound too some. And it might also help us get some different techniques. So like if you're doing a thumb rake, lots of times you don't want that thumb pick totally flat. But if you angle it down like that, it's a lot easier to kind of sweep across the strings to get that thumb rake. The same would go for mandolin and guitar. A lot of the times it's a lot easier to rake across the strings by turning the pick like that and going down versus keeping it totally flat. Sorry, just reading what everyone's saying here. Take, for example, the 3-2 pull-off. Do you pull off with the middle or the ring? Buzz is tricky. Like sometimes that can be your instrument setup. Sometimes it's whenever we don't press down hard enough on the fret. Like, I mean, obviously, if I'm not pressing down hard enough, I hear a little bit. Press down a little bit harder. And then where you place your finger matters, because if I have to put my finger in the middle of a fret, and this goes for mandolin, guitar, whatever, banjo, obviously, but if your finger's in the middle, you got to press down actually a little bit harder than if you're right behind the fret. That's where it takes the least effort to push down. And then if you're right on top, you get that muted sound, not very good. The buzz can also happen just from playing super hard, unless if you have low action. I just heard something a second ago. See, I'm in the middle of the fret right now, hearing a little bit of buzz. I slide it right behind the fret, clear tone. But if I hit it hard enough, there's a little bit of buzz. And that's just where the action is. If it's really low, you're more likely to get it if you play hard and dig in. If you're a player that really likes to hit your strings hard, you're going to want a little bit of a higher action, so you can really dig in and get that louder sound. The 3-2 pull off. Do you pull off with middle or ring finger? Advantage one. Are you talking about like this? The 3-2, or are you talking about 3-2 as in third finger? Do you mean third fret or third finger? Blues. Haven't really started on blues, but some techniques would be good. Okay, Oliver, I got you. I got some ideas for some blues mandolin. Hang on 1 second. Let me clear this up with Sarah, see what's going on with her and help her out, and then we'll talk about some blues stuff on mandolin. Third fret to second. Yeah, I always use middle finger. There might be some situations where I do ring finger. Like a lot of times if you're playing out of a C chord, your middle finger's right here, first finger's right here, so it's a little bit easier than, shifting out of that. So I might do, in that situation, I might do that, but most of the time I'm doing third finger to first, and actually instead of doing pulls, I actually do pushes a lot of the time. Where I remember I saw one banjo player doing that, and then I don't know, it seemed more banjo-y, if that makes sense. So I've sort of instead of there's some benefits and there's some drawbacks to it. So whenever you're pushing up, you're pushing out of the way of the string below, right? So I'm not going to hit that anytime. Right? I'm not going to hit that B string whenever I'm doing a push up. Drawbacks. You're never going to get as clean of a snap with the push off as you do with the pull off. Here, it's kind of muted sounding in comparison. Versus if I really get this one snapped well on the pull off, it really's got like a lot more crisp sound. But the drawback to this one is, if you do it right, you're not going to hit the string below. But like I said, I don't know. I just saw some banjo player do that push off, and I've just been stuck with it. And I just like the way it looks, like the way it sounds, like the way it feels, and I've just done that ever since. But yeah, I usually use middle finger for that third to second. Advantages of using the middle finger to first finger for that. Your middle finger in either hand is going to be your strongest finger, usually, is what I've been told, beside your thumb, obviously. I don't know, I think that's how the majority of banjo players would do that. I think it's rare. And Sarah, do you pull, when you're saying the advantages of middle finger versus ring finger, do you go middle finger first, or do you do ring finger first? Thanks for work on that. Yeah, the push is really cool. I love doing it. Yeah, I think the middle finger's stronger, ring finger's weaker, a little bit harder to use. It depends on where I am. Yeah, it depends on where you are. So it's going to switch up. For me, I'd always recommend your default to be for the 3-2 to be middle finger to first. And then there may be some situations where I would do ring finger to third. Yeah. So that'd definitely be my recommendation for that. All right, I'm gonna move over to some. Sarah, if you get any other ideas, pop it on stuff you want some help on. Just pop it in the chat, and I'll get back to it. But I just wanted to give Oliver some few ideas here for some blues on the mandolin. The big thing, man, would just be some blues scales. So there's a pretty simple one. I'm just going open 3-5, open 3-5 on the G and D string, but the big blue note we're putting it in there is the 6th fret on the G string. Just wondering if there was some finger stretching. Yeah. Strengthening exercises. I mean, lots of times for stretching, I'll just do this. You know, these little things where you just kind of hold your finger back, each finger back about 15 seconds before I start. You don't want to push too hard, just as long as you feel a stretch for about 15 seconds. For finger strengthening, I've got one in mind. I'll show it to you here in a second, but this is what I do for like stretching just to limber up. As far as like stretching to try to get a bigger reach, you know, like this kind of stuff, you sort of don't want to push yourself too far. You want to avoid injury. But for strengthening, I mean, a lot of that's just like, you know, I always tell people to play slow. And the good thing about playing slow is you play at a speed you can control. You know, you'll make a lot fewer mistakes whenever you're playing slow. But the slower you play, the longer you're holding that finger down. Not necessarily. Hold on, Oliver. I'll get to that. Let me finish this thought here. So the longer when you're playing slow, you're holding a finger down longer. So let's say I'm just playing a simple scale on mandolin. Right? So when I play really slow, when I play the scale, I'm holding these fingers down as long as possible. That's engaging that muscle for a longer time. That's going to build some strength. So if you play a scale really, really slow, I mean, like I said, you're holding that finger down a long time. Versus if you try to play it fast. I mean, it's good if you can play fast, but you're not engaging that muscle for very long. So if you're not engaging the muscle for very long, you're not working it very much. If you don't work it very much, you're not going to build much muscle. Let me see here. So let me get to Oliver's, back to Oliver's thing about playing the blues, and then I'll show you kind of an exercise that can be applied on banjo in just a minute that'll help kind of strengthen you up, and it's something that's pretty easy to do. With blues, it's not always going to be more scalar. Like, you need to know the scale, but it's not always going to be that. I mean, a lot of the double stops in bluegrass. Right, that's what is that from Bluegrass Breakdown? I mean, that's really bluesy. What it is, it's taking that blue note, which we played it up here. What is that? A D flat? Yeah. It's taking that blue note and putting it into a double stop. So the blues on mandolin, I mean, it's going to be knowing the scale, knowing what those blue notes are. You know, the notes that are kind of outside of the scale, but it's used as a passing tone a lot in blues. And knowing how you could put that with either a melody or put it as a chord for a moment. So a lot of the times, those notes that are outside of the scale, the space between, a lot of the times can be used as like a tension and a release. You don't want to stay there very long, but if you stay there for a moment and then come back to a scale note, it's going to sound really cool. So like, right, I stayed there for a second, it kind of felt, then I went back to the resolve note, and it's like, we're back to. Stayed there a little bit longer and then went back to the home note. But I could probably also put that into a double stop. So like, So that's, taking the regular double stop and then moving one of the notes to the blue note, which was right next to it, for just a second, and then coming back to it. If you're really wanting to get into the blues, you really need to listen to it a lot. The same would go for bluegrass. There's a lot of subtleties that happen into the music that are beyond just the scale or just the chords. It's the feel of the timing, the tone, and the textures. Sometimes a lot of stuff is a little bit more warm sounding, whereas some of the blues might be, I don't know, a little bit brighter sounding. So you need to listen to that music a lot to get a feel for what it's supposed to sound or feel like. So just flattening one of the notes on. Yeah, sometimes just flattening one of the notes on the double stop. You've got to know the scale that you're playing in, where the blue notes are on the scale, relative to that double stop. Like you can't just randomly okay. So let's say I've got here's a regular G double stop. I just randomly flattened one of the notes, so it sounded okay, but it's not bluesy, How do you follow the guitar? Now, how do you follow the guitar as in, how do you play along with it? Or are you want to, transcribe, a Stevie Ray Vaughan lick or something? Which would be totally cool and doable as well, to an extent. Just can't do a lot of bends on mandolin, Yeah, so I'd say learn some scales, and then we've got to learn some blue notes. And some common chord progressions. Usually most blues stuff is 1-4-5. Sometimes it gets tricky. Play along with it, okay? And then a lot of the times with blues, there's kind of a key of the moment. So we might be in the key of G. And then we go to C. But when you go to the C, you actually kind of play more C-type scale notes. And within that C scale, you're also getting in those little in-between notes, those blue notes. It can get pretty tricky. There's a bit of theory involved, chord knowledge, and like I said, just knowing the right notes to play. The tasteful notes to play comes a lot from just listening to that music quite a bit. Playing along with guitar, can you give me an example? Maybe I could pull something up here on Spotify or something and listen to it and show you what I might do. Yeah, because I just want to get a more specific, more targeted kind of thing of what you're looking to do, so I can give you advice to fit what you're looking for. Is there a specific song or something you have in mind? Good. Well, a big part of it's going to be if you want to just play along chords, it's going to be getting the rhythm of it. So you heard what I was doing, and I'm doing this kind of Sam Bush thing where I'm using these simple. Okay, something about Clapton. I'll look something up on Spotify here in a second. But I'm using these Sam Bush type chords. Well, it's not Sam Bush type chords. It's a Sam Bush technique where you play these simple open chords, like the simple 2-finger G, but then you use these other fingers to mute. And once they come down for a mute, you use your right hand after it's muted to add some extra percussive beats. So and the rhythm's going to be a lot different it'll differ from song to song, but it's also going to be a lot different from bluegrass. We're not going to have It's not going to be that backbeat chop. Let me look up something from Clapton. Maybe just Crossroads, right? That's one of his more well-known, like, bluesy ones. So what I do is a couple things. You'd want to know the key and the chords. If you're not used to picking out keys and chords by ear, you might just want to just look something up. We might actually have a Crossroads version of mandolin on the website, actually, and they'll at least give you a basic melody and the chords. And then if you click on the little chord symbol above, it'll actually show you some different chord shapes. All right, let me see here. Crossroads, Eric Clapton, is that Cream? Let's see this one. Actually, this one works with the Bluegrass Backbeat. But the other thing I would do besides to find out the rhythm is I'd listen to that drum. And you can kind of hear the high. And when you hear that hi-hat or that snare, try to make that your right hand. So for the most time, it is actually doing that Bluegrass Backbeat. That's so funny. But let me listen to it again. Got to take a couple listens sometimes, but it's like it's doing something like that. Let me listen again. Okay, so it's on beat, actually, right? Instead of being bluegrass is normally on the off beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. He's actually right on the beat. Yeah. Okay, so I found kind of the rhythm that the drummer was going to, and whenever there was a little variation, that's kind of when I let my rhythm get a little bit louder, because most of the time it was like ta 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 ta. So that thing at the end was different, right? Because before it was just all right on the beat. Ta 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 ta. So when that thing got ta ta, that's a little bit more open. It's not stop, short, a little bit longer. When it got a little bit longer, that's when I opened up. I stopped doing the mute as much. So, right. So you could do that Sam Bush style like I'm doing with the open chords. You could do the chop chords. You just play them a little bit different. The thing with that is when you're playing blues, a lot of the times when you get that real majory sound, it doesn't blend as well. A lot of blues stuff, you either want the 7th chord or sometimes just like a power chord like this, where we're not getting the happy note of the chord. Alright, cool. Yeah, man, I'm glad that gives you some direction. Like I said, I'm pretty positive, actually. I know I did a Crossroads for Banjo for Tune Fox. It's actually pretty sweet. If any banjo players out there want to check that out, it's pretty fun. Let me see if we got something on mandolin. I'm pretty sure I do. And that way it'll at least give you the chords and a basic melody to work with. Yeah, Crossroad Blues. So if you check out the app, whether you're on the app or computer, you go in there, Crossroad, where is it? Crossroad Blues. Yeah, and there's some different versions of it that are, easy. One's way up the neck. The intermediate is the one that's like pretty close actually to how Clapton plays it. So I didn't like transcribe it exactly, but it's very close to how he plays it. But like I was saying, after you got your basic melody, if you just go in there and tap on the little where it says the chord there, where it says the A, you tap on the chord, then it's got some different chord shapes, right? So it's got the big chop chord and then this other bar chord. And the bar chords are super usable. Like I said, just listen to that drummer. The more you listen to it, the more you'll start to absorb it. And if you can get to the point where you do what I was doing, where you kind of just speak the drum rhythm, that can get you a little bit closer to, you know, playing it. Right? And the good thing about trying to speak a drum beat, it's not like trying to sing a song. You don't have to worry if you're on pitch or not. You're just speaking the rhythm. So if you're using the chop chords and you're not using that with that quick mute, you got to use that left hand release. See, right now I'm just holding the chord down, and then I'm going to let off just enough to where my fingers still touch the strings, but it stops the sound from ringing. So I'm not letting off that much because then the open strings will ring. Just that much to stop the strings from ringing. And once you get that under, you want to get to where you can do it quick without letting off all the way, and then eventually to where you can almost do it like just that moment. You push down and let off, you know, in that little fraction of a second when the pick touches the strings right there. And then, you know, once you've got that little skill built, you can speak that drum rhythm. Right? So, to be fair, maybe I went a step too far. Like, that's playing like a super right-on rhythm. You could just do... just 1, 2, 3, 4, you know? Just playing along with the beat of it. And you could even do it just ringing instead of, you know, I was doing little mutes. You can kind of just see that hand doing like a little pump, right? It's pumping, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and beat. That keeps the note short. It's cool, it's good. You could also just ring it out. Right, just so you're playing in beat and you're getting to actually play along with the recording a little bit. So yeah, I hope that gives you some good ideas, man. Keep in touch. Make sure to send us an email or something if you want another blues, some more blues song. Like I said, we got the Crossroad on there already, but we might end up doing some more blues stuff, man, because it can help you a lot. I mean, it's a huge part of bluegrass. Yeah, the mutes, like, that's more rhythmic. I mean, that's what we do in bluegrass already on mandolin, right? Huh. Right, we don't do. It's more percussive, it's more rhythmic. So if you can do it, go for it. If not, don't worry about just playing it ringing out. But watch your volume. Like, whenever you're playing backup, whether you're doing this, or this, you don't want to be louder than the singer or the lead instrument. And I mean, that goes even if you're listening, you know, on speakers next to your computer or whatever. I practice with my computer all the time. And you know, it's usually not super loud volume, and it's really good practice to be able to control your volume and be able to hear what the words that the lead singer is saying, or hear the notes that the lead instrument is saying, or whatever. I heard one of my favorite guitar players say that if you can't hear the lead vocalists, if you can't hear every word they say, something like that, if you can't hear them, you're too loud. So basically just watch your right hand. You don't want it to be super, super loud. when you're doing the chop, it's so short, it's not taking up a lot of space. Like it's chopped, and then there's so much space. It's not taking up so much sonic space. You can be a little bit louder just to get that rhythm effect, but you don't just want to like, totally crush it. You just want to go with whatever the volume of the rest of the band or the recording you're listening to is. Okay. Yeah, man. I hope that helps some. Anybody else got anything they're working on or any other tips? Sorry, I'm just seeing a lot of this chat stuff. A lot of it snuck by me while I was talking about that. You're familiar with the Sam Bush style. Cool. He is my absolute hero, absolute favorite mandolin player. Hardway. Yeah, it's rough when that happens. Like, I remember I went to some kind of jam. They've got this jam it's in White House, Tennessee, at the Authentic Coffee Shop, and there's a lot of like Nashville pros that come there. And there was one of these older guys. I'm not sure. He's probably some like old Nashville legend or whatever that I just wasn't familiar with. But I was playing something. We were playing Jerusalem. Yeah, Sam's the man, dude. I haven't played that in a while. Stingray, right? Great tune. Anyways, back to my story after my Sam Bush tangent. We were playing Jerusalem's Ridge. And I was playing guitar at the time, just jamming along, but I was kind of accenting those little chord spaces. Let me get my guitar out for a second. A lot of times in guitar, I'll do the accents. And I was doing that, hitting it really hard, stepping out because I wanted to be heard. I wanted people to know my name's Jordan Ream and I'm playing rhythm guitar. But he was, he just looked over me calmly. Don't accent. Didn't miss a beat of the song. I was like, oh, kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, but it was right. I was getting some good advice because whenever you accent something really hard as a rhythm instrument, you're stepping out for a second. It's like doing a fill. So, and sometimes when you step out, you step on someone else's toes. So if there's another lead instrument going, you really don't want to be doing a whole lot of accents. If you do, you want to be kind of subdued a little bit. You don't want to be trying to step out a lot of the time. You want to be contributing to the feel of it. Right? You let the lead instrument do all the accents, all the cool stuff. They do all the accents with what they're playing. If they want to put a rhythmic accent in there, great. If I'm just playing some standard rhythm, you don't want to be doing that a lot. The only time you really want to add that kind of stuff in is like in a rhythmic fill in between a vocal line. Is maybe one of the times that's appropriate. Tonight I'm all alone, place to call my home. It seems there's a longing for you still. After there's a longing for you still, there's some space in there, so that's a chance to add in. Sorry, I don't know the lyrics. But my point is, the only times you really want to hit a hard accent is probably in those spaces in the vocal lines. Not so much when someone's taking a solo. And definitely you don't want to be accenting really hard in the middle of someone singing. You just want to keep the rhythm there, keep a little bit of groove, but you don't want to overpower somebody else because it's not your time to solo. Your job is not to be known as a rhythm player. It's to make someone else known. Support player. You got to be a team player when you're playing rhythm. Saw Sam with Lyle Lovett. Cool. I don't know. I know my mom's a big Lyle Lovett fan, Something about a boat and a pony. My horse. I don't. I don't know his stuff. I know he's kind of revered, big time. He's like John Prine, that level. I don't know a lot of his stuff though. I would have loved to be at that show though. That would have been great. Anybody else got anything going on here? I'm trying to look back in the chat, see if I missed anything. Oh, Michael was asking earlier about stretching and strengthening exercises on the banjo. Yeah, let me upon my pony on my boat. Yeah. Yeah, let me show the little finger strengthening or exercise for Michael here. Just double check and make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. And this really, this is an instrument for exercises. Can't speak. What I'm about to show you here will not change your life, but it might help you get a little bit of finger strength and coordination and finger independence on the banjo or any other fretted instrument. Okay? Some of you guys might be familiar with this. If so, sorry, let me know. I'll see if I got anything else. But this is called the spider exercise, or spider fingers. So what you're going to do is just get a finger per fret, like this. Not like this. We don't want our wrist bent out. If our wrist is bent out, we want to try to maybe bring that thumb up a little bit. Maybe bring our elbow back. Sometimes if your elbow's too far forward, then your wrist gets bent out. I got to bring that elbow back. So my hand's a little bit more neutral. My fingers just on the back of the neck, maybe a little bit over the top. But with this one, we don't have as much angle to our hand as maybe as when we're playing banjo or mandolin in the lower positions. We got to turn it in just a little bit so that we can get on. You'll end up being, your fingertips on the kind of the middle and the ring fingers. But you can see my first finger is kind of on its side, pinky's kind of on its side. All right, once you get that basic position, you got that neutral wrist going. We're going to go one finger at a time. We're going to move that finger down a string. Oh, let's see here. All right, so I'm on the G string. So I'm going to move that finger down one string, play the note on the B, then I'm going to hold it down. See, I'm not lifting that first finger. Right? Get that middle finger down, only moving one finger at a time. It's a little bit hard actually. Then back up. Go as slow as you need to. Don't try to go as fast as I'm going. If you really got to think about it, move that one finger at a time. That's what you got to do. Remember we talked about the slower you go, the longer these fingers are held down for, the longer that muscle's engaged. Yeah, you want to go to that eventually, but really if you're looking at strengthening, take speed out of it. Just play slow, because slow is, working your muscles for longer. Another thing to do, a big part of the stretching with banjo is going to be your hand position. Most of the time, if you got your thumb over like this, you can see the angle that my fingers are at, right? Heck yeah, man, I'm always for going over something so basic. I feel like the basic stuff sometimes can help us play just some really cool stuff, and just the foundations never go away. Like a lot of the simple stuffs that I was teaching. I do in-person lessons as well with some students, and one of the things I was working on with one of my kids, we were playing Cripple Creek, just the melody. We weren't even playing, the actual rolls like Scruggs style. So instead of playing that, we're just playing the melody. Alright, so at first we were just working on getting the notes. After we got the notes, and once he got to the point to where he was playing it, where it kind of flowed and he wasn't having to stop and think, then we got the metronome out. Alright, so after we worked on the time, and the other thing we worked on was pick noise. And that comes from setting the pick down before you need it. Let me think. So like right here. hear that noise when I'm setting that first finger down? Right? To get rid of that noise, what you got to do is you, instead of setting your pick down on the string before you need it, you've got to kind of just pick, move your finger quickly at the time when you actually need it. Right? And that principle, actually we weren't working on Cripple Creek, we were working on Mary Had a Little Lamb when I showed that to him. But that principle of moving your pick right when you need it and not setting it down on the string before, that applies to guitar and banjo as well. Like you'll still get pick noise on guitar and mandolin if you do that. So let me go with Mary Had a Little Lamb. That's probably actually a little bit, will illustrate a little bit better. Right, Little Lamb. So instead of you, so after you pick it, you have to bring your finger back, but what you want to do is just bring it right before the string, not actually touch it down. So super basic, but like no matter what level you play in, whether you're playing this, whether you're playing that or just the melody, it's still going to apply. Because if I do, you hear it? So it's something that you've got to think about when you're playing the more advanced stuff too. All right. Anybody else got any more questions? Oh, you're so welcome, man. Thank you guys for joining me. Hope you guys are having a good evening. Stay in touch. Send any emails if you guys have any content requests or any questions for the next time we do the live lesson. Should be another 2 weeks. All right. Practice, guys. Go slow. Take it easy. Good to see everybody. You guys have a great night, okay? Bye. Thanks, man. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Yeah, I probably won't see you guys till after. Maybe Happy New Year. Might not be until the New Year till I'll see you guys again. All right. Bye now.